Jane's World. Little Jane was 6 years old. She lived with her mother in a small, charming village at the foot of the mountains. Jane had grown up happy and cheerful, filled with her mother's love. Every day she would spend time in nature with her mother, picking flowers, watching birds, and making friends with the forest's inhabitants. One day, Jane's life changed forever. Her mother fell ill and passed away shortly after. Jane felt like her world had been shattered. She was motherless and all alone. The villagers were very helpful to Jane. They embraced her with love, comforted her, and gave her food. But Jane's pain was deep. She missed her mother dearly and longed to be by her side. Jane's aunt lived in the city. Her aunt and uncle came to Jane and convinced her to live with them. Jane didn't want to leave her mother's house and village, but she knew how much her aunt and uncle loved her. She decided to go to the city with them. City life was very different for Jane. It was crowded and noisy everywhere. Jane didn't like the city's gray buildings and concrete sidewalks. She missed the peaceful and quiet village with her mother, being surrounded by nature and spending time with animals. One day, Jane asked her aunt to go to the park. While walking in the park, Jane saw a little bird fall to the ground. The bird was injured and bleeding. Jane picked up the bird and took it home. Her aunt and uncle were happy that Jane wanted to save the bird and helped her. They arranged for a veterinarian to examine the bird. The veterinarian said that the bird's wing was broken and it needed to rest for a few weeks. Jane fed the bird with her own hands and took care of it lovingly. She named the bird Hope. Hope would eat from Jane's hand and enjoy spending time with her. Jane prayed every day for Hope's recovery. After a few weeks, Hope recovered and could fly again. Jane took Hope to the park to set her free. Hope took off from Jane's hand and soared into the sky. Jane was overjoyed to see Hope free. After this experience with Hope, Jane realized how important her friendship with nature and animals was. While city life didn't scare her, she would always miss the peace and quiet of nature. Jane's aunt and uncle were also touched by her loving heart. They supported her in every way to be surrounded by nature and spend time with animals. Jane would visit her village on weekends and holidays. She would spend time in the house filled with her mother's memories, be surrounded by nature, and make friends with animals. Jane grew up with different experiences in the city and village. Her love for animals and respect for nature always stayed with her. As she grew up, Jane wanted to become a veterinarian and help all animals. She knew that her friendship with nature and animals would always make her happy. It's autumn now, and it's time for Jane to go to school. Jane started her new school in the city. She was very excited and nervous on the first day. She didn't know her classmates or teachers. The school building was huge, and Jane felt lost for a moment. When she entered the classroom, the teacher greeted her with a smile and showed her a seat. Jane wanted to be friends with the girl sitting next to her. The girl's name was Betty, and she was very kind to Jane. Betty told Jane about the school and introduced her to the other kids. Jane had some trouble with some of the lessons on her first day, but with Betty's help, she started to learn everything. Betty taught Jane how to solve math problems and read and write. Jane also told Betty about nature and animals. Betty and Jane quickly became best friends. They enjoyed spending time together, playing games, and teaching each other new things. Thanks to Betty, Jane started to get used to her new life in the city and no longer felt alone. Jane's friendships with other kids at her new school also started to grow. They would eat lunch together, play games during recess, and help each other with schoolwork. Jane realized that she had made great friends at her school in the city too and was now happy.